There's many different types of design, and there's many different types of things you can design, from cities and buildings right through to furniture and fonts. And whilst these different types of design have their own specific skills and knowledge that make them special, the underlying thinking and process between them is often very similar. And when you start to understand this underlying process of design thinking, it can help you to design your own projects better, regardless of the particular type of projects that you're working on. It can also help you to develop an approach or a way of thinking to tackle new types of projects that you may not have ever worked on before. In other words, it'll give you a process to help you find your way through any type of project, a way to design anything. When I started out as a designer, I kind of thought of all the different types of design as being completely separate things, whether it was architecture or graphic design or any other type of artistic or creative field. And I guess in many ways that kind of makes sense, because when you think about designing a building, it seems like a completely separate process to designing, say, a logo or a lamp. But I've been working as a designer for over 25 years now, and the kind of design that I do is called urban design. And it sits in between a whole bunch of different disciplines. It's part architecture, it's part landscape architecture, it's part furniture design. It even crosses over into art and community-based projects. It doesn't pretend to be any one of those particular disciplines, but it borrows on the thinking and processes between all of them. It kind of crosses across all of those disciplines, but lives in the grey space in between. And what this means is that I'm always working on projects of different types and scales, and collaborating with different types of designers and creatives. On one day you might be working on something of a huge scale, like a design for a new city or neighbourhood, and the next day you might be working on something completely different, like the design for a piece of furniture or signage. And sometimes you'll be working on projects that people wouldn't usually think of as being design at all, but you're using design thinking to change the way that the project is approached. Now, I'm always one of the first ones to point out that each of these different types of design will each have their own specific skills and knowledge that make them unique. And some of the particular, skills and expertise from one particular area of design may not have as much relevance for a different type of design. And I've seen through my own personal experiences how, whilst these different areas of design and different creative fields have their own skills and expertise that make them special, often the underlying design process and thinking between them is very similar, if not the same. The words that they use to describe their process will vary, and there might be slight differences in regard to the different steps and details of what they do or what they're working on, but the basic stages and the progression in their design thinking and process will often be very similar. And when I think back to when I started out as a designer, I didn't really have an overarching design process or approach to design thinking that I would use as a framework to guide me through projects. Or if I did, I wasn't really aware of it, or I didn't give it much thought. I guess I tackled each project as an individual problem to be solved. I'd try a whole bunch of different things, I'd make mistakes, I'd come up with different solutions, and I'd just work hard until I found an end solution or an answer that I thought solved the original problem or the brief. And as I touched on before, given the type of design that I do, I'm always working on different types of projects that vary in terms of type and scale. And I'm often also asked to work on new types of projects that are kind of completely new to me and I haven't really worked on before. So I pretty quickly worked out that I had to develop a design process or a way of thinking that I could apply to any type of project, regardless of what it was or how big it was. A way of thinking that could help me to navigate through any project, a way to design anything. And this idea, the process of design or design thinking, and how it can basically be applied to any problem, is something that I've been thinking a lot about recently. I'm also finding for a lot of my clients and projects, I'm spending more time working with people in what you wouldn't typically think of as being design or creative fields, and helping to show them how a design process or design thinking can be applied to whatever it is that they do, to help them to solve problems, to come up with more creative ideas, and ultimately to find the answers that they're actually looking for. And this is where I came up with the idea of creating a series of videos which I'm going to call How to Design Anything. It's a way for me to share what I've learned in terms of design process and thinking in my 25 plus years working as a designer. So in the next few videos, I'm going to give an explanation for what design thinking means to me and to share the design process that I apply to all of my different types of projects. In short, to create a series of videos that explain the process of design and design thinking in a way that I wish I had known when I was starting out. And hopefully this will provide you with ideas and inspiration for your own projects, regardless of whatever type of design or creative field you're in. A process that changes the way that you think about design and that can be used to help you design anything.